गीत के बाद
छाया गीत।
Next round of talks between centre and farmers this afternoon. The last round of talks saw agreement on two issues. The other two issues are now set to be taken up for resolution. Minister of State for Agriculture expresses hope of the talks being successful. DCGI grants emergency use approval for two vaccines to combat COVID-19 pandemic. Authorization for Covishield and Covaxin after expert panel's recommendation. Prime Minister Modi terms indigenous vaccine a major step in the direction of Atmanirbhar Bharat, a source of pride for all Indians. Prime Minister Modi will deliver the inaugural address at National Metrology Conference through a video link. Will also dedicate National Atomic Timescale and Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya to the nation, apart from laying the foundation stone for National Environmental Standards Laboratory. Death toll in Muradnagar roof collapse at a cremation incident goes over 20. FIR registered against several, including Muradnagar Municipality Executive Officer. UP Chief Minister announces ex-gratia of ₹2 lakh for kin of the deceased. In Bihar, education institutions to open with strict compliance of COVID-19 protocols. Schools from classes 9th onwards permitted to allow only 50% of students. Severe cold wave conditions prevail in North India due to western disturbance. More rain likely in Delhi, Rajasthan and Haryana today as well. Over 100 people killed in attacks on two villages in western Niger. Prime Minister Brigid Rafini confirms this in a broadcast. No one has claimed responsibility for the gruesome killings. Good morning, you're watching DD India and I'm Preeti presenting this bulletin. Our top story first. The next round of talks between the centre and the farmer unions will be held in New Delhi today. Earlier, the talks between the government and the farmer unions were held on 30th of December. During the meeting, Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar had assured farmer leaders that the government is committed to solve their problems and both sides need to take steps forward to arrive at an amicable solution. The centre had assured the farmer unions that MSP and the mandi system will continue like before. The centre is hopeful that talks will be fruitful.
किसान जो आंदोलन पर बैठे हैं उनसे वार्ता हमारी चल रही है और निश्चित रूप से हम आशावान हैं कल हमारी वार्ता होगी उसके अंदर निश्चित रूप से एक सकारात्मक परिणाम होगा और जैसा कि हमारी पीछे जो 7 दौर की बैठक हुई है बिल्कुल सकारात्मक और सौहार्दपूर्ण वातावरण के अंदर हुई है और कल भी होंगे। लेकिन ये कांग्रेस या आप या जो कम्युनिस्ट है वो इस घी में आग डालने का आग में घी झोंकने का काम कर रहे हैं लेकिन उनको सफलता किसी सूरत में नहीं मिलेगी क्योंकि देश का किसान इस बात को भली भांति समझ चुका है।
Many farmers across the country are coming in support for the new farm laws. Farmers from Sangrur and Hoshiarpur in Punjab are also voicing their support for the new farm laws, saying the laws will benefit them.
मेरा नाम गुरसेवक सिंह है और मैं पंजाब से संगरूर डिस्ट्रिक्ट से हूं और मेरा गांव थलेस है। जहां तक मेरे को इन बिलों से समझ आता है ये सारे बिल किसान के हक में हैं। इससे बाज़ार खुल जाएगा, बाज़ार खुलेगा तो उससे आने वाले टाइम में प्राइस ज़्यादा मिलने की भी संभावना रहेगी, बनी रहेगी। तो किसानों को जो आमदन है उसकी बढ़ने के बहुत सारे विकल्प बने रहेंगे।
मेरा नाम ओंकार सिंह है और मैं पिंड चिंगड़ कलां जिला हुशियारपुर तो बिलोंग करदा। साडा पिछों खेतीबाड़ी किता है लेकिन ये मोदी जी के जो 3 बिल आए हैं उसकी स्टडी नाल ये पता लगता है कि वो आने वाले टाइम दे विच किसानों वास्ते बहुत फायदेमंद है। जिस तरह सरकार की पॉलिसी है कि किसानों की आमदन दुगनी की जाए, इस हिसाब नाल अगर किसान अपनी जिहड़ी फसल है वो खुली मंडी विच बेचेगा तो उसकी आमदन शायद दुगने तो भी ज़्यादा ਹੋਣ ਦੀ ਸੰਭਾਵਨਾ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਯਕੀਨ ਕਰਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ।
Drugs Controller General of India, DCGI, has given approval for restricted use in emergency situation of 2 COVID-19 vaccines, Serum Institute of India's Covishield and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Drug Controller General of India, VG Somani, said that both firms submitted data on their trial runs and both have been granted permission for restricted use. Both vaccines have to be administered in 2 doses and to be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. The vaccine approval has been welcomed throughout the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed the Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech vaccines as a decisive turning point to strengthen a spirited fight against coronavirus. Also, the Prime Minister said that this shows the eagerness of our scientific community to fulfill the dream of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, at the root of which lies care and compassion. He said that the grant of approval by DCGI to the vaccines accelerates the road to a healthier and COVID-free nation. Healthcare professionals have also welcomed the announcement but cautioned people that even after the vaccine, COVID-appropriate protocols are necessary for some time. And here are some frequently asked questions on a COVID-19 vaccine. The first question is, will the vaccine introduced in India be as effective as the ones introduced in other countries? And the answer is yes. The COVID-19 vaccine introduced in India will be as effective as any vaccine developed by other countries. Various phases of vaccine trials are undertaken to ensure its safety and efficacy. Also, people ask, how will I know if I am eligible for vaccination? The eligible beneficiaries will be informed through their registered mobile number regarding the health facility where the vaccination will be provided and the scheduled time for the same. Now, this will be done to avoid any inconvenience in registration and vaccination of the beneficiaries. What documents are required for registration of eligible beneficiary? Any of the below mentioned IDs with photograph may be produced at the time of registration. These include Aadhaar or driving license, a voter ID or a PAN card, passport or a job card or pension document. Health insurance smart card issued under the scheme of Ministry of Labour. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Official identity cards issued to MPs, MLAs, MLCs. Also, passbooks issued by banks and post offices. Service identity card issued to employees by central, state government or public limited companies. Another frequently asked question in fact, is that can a person get COVID-19 vaccine without registration with the health department? The answer is no. Registration of the beneficiary is mandatory for vaccination of COVID-19. Only after registration, the information on the session site to visit and time will be shared with the beneficiary. Also, if a person is not able to produce photo ID at the session site, whether he or she can be vaccinated or not, a photo ID is a must for both registration and verification of the beneficiary at the session site to ensure that the intended person is vaccinated. All right, so those were the important FAQs regarding the vaccination. Let's get to other news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will today deliver the inaugural address at the National Metrology Conference through video link. He will also dedicate National Atomic Timescale and Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya to the nation, apart from laying the foundation stone for Natural Environmental Standards Laboratory.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the inaugural address at the National Metrology Conclave on the 4th of January 2021 via video conferencing. He will also dedicate the National Atomic Timescale and the Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya to the nation and lay the foundation stone of the National Environmental Standards Laboratory. Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will also be present on the occasion.
Honorable Prime Minister, तीन चीज़ों का उद्घाटन करेंगे. एक तो जो नेशनल फिजिकल लैबोरेटरी ने जो 2.8 नैनोसेकंड की इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम क्रिएट किया हुआ है, जनरेट किया हुआ है, उस एटॉमिक क्लॉक इंसेंबल का उद्घाटन करेंगे और देश को समर्पित करेंगे. और ये जो 2.8 नैनोसेकंड की जो एक्यूरेट इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम हमारे पास में, ये हम इसरो को देते हैं और इसरो जो है हमारे नाविक सैटेलाइट को देते हैं. और उससे जो हमारी अपना जो देसी जीपीएस है उसकी क्वालिटी जो अमेरिकन जीपीएस से उससे बहुत अच्छी है।
The National Atomic Time Scale generates Indian Standard Time with an accuracy of 2.8 nanosecond. Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya is supporting testing and calibration of laboratories for quality assurance at par with international standards. The National Environmental Standards Laboratory will aid self-reliance in the certification of ambient air and industrial emission monitoring equipment.
भारतीय निर्देशक द्रव्य BND है, वो NPL का अपना हुआ बनाया हुआ इंडियन सर्टिफाइड रेफरेंस मटेरियल है और ये यूज़ होता है हर एक सेक्टर में। तो जैसे हमारे इन्वायरमेंट में पोल्यूशन मेजर करना है, तो आज के दिन में हम क्या करते हैं कि बाहर से इंपोर्टेड इक्विपमेंट मंगाते हैं और आपने कई बार देखा भी होगा कि वो अलग अलग रीडिंग देते हैं। तो अलग अलग रीडिंग इसलिए देते हैं क्योंकि वो कैलिब्रेटेड नहीं है। तो जब ये लेबॉर्ट्री बन जाएगी और इंडिया का अपना सर्टिफिकेशन स्कीम होगा जिसका नाम है नेशनल फिजिकल लेबॉर्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया सर्टिफिकेशन स्कीम ऑफ एम्बिएंट एयर एंड इंडस्ट्रियल इमिशन मॉनिटरिंग इक्विपमेंट्स।
National Metrology Conclave 2021 is being organized by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Physical Laboratory, CSIR NPL, New Delhi, which is entering into the 75th year of its inception. The theme of the conclave is Metrology for Inclusive Growth of the Nation, DD India.
In a tragic accident in Ghaziabad district in Uttar Pradesh, over 20 people were killed and several others were injured when the roof of a structure in Muradnagar's crematorium collapsed on Sunday. The tragic accident occurred when people coming to attend the last rites of the loved ones took shelter following rain under the roof of a structure at the crematorium in Muradnagar. However, the roof suddenly collapsed, under which many people got trapped. The injured have been rushed to the hospital. Soon after, NDRF teams were rushed to the accident site for relief and rescue operation. President Ramnath Kovind, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister extended condolences over the loss of lives in the accident. Ordering probe into the accident, the Uttar Pradesh government has asked the administration to submit a report in this regard. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath assured all possible help to the victims of the accident. He also announced an ex-gratia of ₹2 lakh to the kin of the deceased. Meanwhile, an FIR has been registered against several people, including Muradnagar Municipality EO. In Kerala, 7 persons were killed when a bus fell on the top of a house at Panathur Sulia Road in Pariyaram in Kasaragod district on Sunday. The bus was carrying over 60 members of a wedding party from Sulia in Karnataka. 8 persons have been injured seriously and were admitted to the hospital in Pariyaram. The district collector has issued an order to conduct an inquiry into the incident. Also in Karnataka, the first train route to Kempegowda International Airport from Bengaluru starts functioning from today. With this, commuters will get the first non-road, faster alternative to reach the airport. 3 new pairs of trains will operate between railway stations in Bengaluru and the newly built Kempegowda International Airport, Devanahalli Halt Station. Also, a total of 5 trains will run between the city and the airport halt station for the next few months. Railway Minister Piyush Goyal in a tweet has said that this will go a long way in enhancing last-mile connectivity to Bengaluru Airport. He said that this will also benefit lakhs of people and reduce the traffic congestion drastically. After a gap of over 9 months since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, educational institutions including schools, colleges, universities, coaching institutes will reopen in Bihar from today. Classes from 9th till 12th standard will commence with 50% strength in order to maintain social distancing in the classrooms. Wearing masks for all school students on the campus has been made mandatory, without which they will not be allowed to enter the premises. All the institutes will have to follow COVID-19 protocol strictly. And up next, we move to Jammu and Kashmir. Areas such as Rajouri and Riyasi have remained peaceful even in the aftermath of the revocation of Article 370. That's because the people in these remote areas are witnessing progress. Our correspondent Nandita Dagar spoke to some of the people who have availed the fruits of this program.
मैंने जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय का एंट्रेंस पास किया है और इंडियन आर्मी ने हमारी बहुत मदद की है। उन्होंने कोचिंग सेंटर जो खोला था वो मैंने अटेंड किया और उसमें हमें किताबें प्रोवाइड की और डेली रिटन टेस्ट होते थे, तो जिसकी वजह से आज मैं जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय का एंट्रेंस पास किया और डिस्ट्रिक्ट में 2nd टॉपर रहा।
जी एक्चुअल में मुझे ज़बरदस्ती लिया गया था, तो लोकल मिलिटेंट्स ने बचाया था। कोई फॉरेन मिलिटेंट्स, नामालूम मिलिटेंट्स ने मारा था मुझे, तो सम टाइम के लिए मुझे फिर उनके साथ अपने साथ उन्होंने रखा। उसके बाद मैंने सरेंडर किया क्योंकि मेरा मन ही नहीं था जाने का।
मेरी लात फ्रैक्चर हो गई थी, इसलिए मैं आया ये बैसाखी लेने, थोड़ी सहूलत हो जाए। मैं चल नहीं पाता, एक्सीडेंट हुआ था मेरा।
आर्मी यूनिट बग्गा से हम कोचिंग ले रहे हैं मैम। फिजिकल हमारा क्वालिफाइड हो गया है, अब रिटर्न की तैयारी कर रहे हैं मैम।
आर्मी तो हमारे लिए बहुत ही हेल्पफुल रही है। वहाँ पे उन्होंने हमारे लिए कोर्स कोचिंग के लिए वहाँ पे हमें क्लासेस दिए हैं, और वहाँ पे हमने वहाँ पे पुलिस कांस्टेबल के लिए उन्होंने पहले फिजिकल करवाया और उसके बाद रिटर्न की तैयारी करवा रहे हैं।
And severe cold wave has been sweeping across North India for the past few weeks. Northeast, southwest oriented cloud clusters have shifted eastwards, giving slight relief from rains over Haryana, northeast Rajasthan and Delhi. However, the Met Department has predicted thunderstorm, lightning and hailstorm in parts of Delhi, northeast Rajasthan, Haryana and adjoining parts of West Uttar Pradesh during the next 2 hours. Visibility was also reduced in Delhi due to fog this morning. Meanwhile, Delhi's Safdarjung Observatory recorded a minimum temperature of 11.4 degrees Celsius at 8:30 a.m. today. Currently, the western disturbance lies over central Pakistan and a trough extends in lower levels from North Punjab to northeast Arabian Sea. And up next, very quickly, we'll take a look at the COVID-19 situation from across the country. India's trajectory of active cases continues to follow a steadily dipping path. The total active caseload has dropped below 2.5 lakh. Over 19,500 people recovered in the last 24 hours. The daily new recoveries recorded in the country have been more than the daily cases registered since the last 38 days. The rising recoveries have also improved the recovery rate to 96.19% today. The total recovered cases stand at 99,46,867. With government's continuous efforts, a downward trajectory of daily new active cases was witnessed in Kerala, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh and Karnataka. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, that is ICMR, total number of samples tested up to 3rd of January is 17 crore 56 lakh 35,076. While 7,35,978 samples were tested on Sunday. Up next, a quick global update on COVID-19 situation. As of now, over 8 crore 55 lakh cases have been reported worldwide, with over 18 lakh 50,000 deaths. Over 6 crore patients have already recovered from the virus. The United States continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far and has crossed the 2 crore mark. The US has reported over 2 crore 11 lakh cases of the virus, with death toll surging past 3 lakh 60,000. And top US infectious diseases expert Anthony Fauci warned that the mutated strain of COVID-19 was in the US and will spread. He recommended that the COVID-19 vaccines should be led by science, administered in the US, the way clinical trials have been instructing us to do so. Also, the cases found in individuals who had not recently travelled showed the likely community spread of the variant from person to person in the country. Meanwhile, California has become a leading US flashpoint of the pandemic, despite some of the nation's toughest restrictions on social gatherings and business activities. German police chased date strippers off the slopes of a closed ski resort on Sunday after hundreds of people had flocked to Winterberg, east of Dusseldorf, defying appeals from the authorities to stay home and respect the COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. Earlier in the day, police had sought to block access to shut downtown in an attempt to enforce strict regulations in places across the country since December 16. Winterberg saw a rush of thousands of people in recent days, which led to traffic jams, overcrowded parking lots and several breaches of anti-COVID-19 regulations. Germany is likely to extend a national lockdown beyond January 10th to curb COVID-19 infection rates that are still running high and putting huge strains on hospitals and health workers, politicians also said at the weekend. The opposition Labour Party leader Keir Starmer on Sunday said that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson must implement a national lockdown within the next 24 hours. He said that national restrictions within the next 24 hours have to be the first step to control the virus. COVID-19 cases in Britain are at a record level, and the increase in numbers is fueled by a new and more transmissible variant of the virus. Much of England is already living under the toughest level of restriction under a 4-tier system of national regulations designed to stop the spread of the virus and protect the national healthcare system. Britain recorded at least 54,990 new cases of the virus on Sunday and has registered more than 75,000 deaths from the pandemic. Amidst this, the rollout of vaccines is set to accelerate on Monday with the first 530,000 doses of the newly approved Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine ready to be administered. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Sunday said that Britain hopes to provide tens of millions of vaccinations over the next 3 months. Johnson said that schools were safe and advised parents to send their children in, and also in areas where rules allow it, responding to concerns about the surge in COVID-19 cases as classes are due to restart after Christmas. He also clarified his stance on the lockdown possibilities and said that the government might need to consider tightening the lockdown restrictions. More Australian states and territories reimposed travel restrictions to prevent the spreading of COVID-19 from new outbreaks in New South Wales and Victoria states. Victoria closed border to all travellers from New South Wales after 8 new COVID-19 cases were reported. Meanwhile, New South Wales authorities have made wearing masks compulsory at indoor venues, including gaming rooms, hair salons, places of worship and shops. Australia has avoided the worst of the pandemic following swift action by authorities to shut borders, enforce lockdowns and to carry out widespread testing and social distancing. The country has reported more than 28,450 COVID-19 cases and 909 deaths. Kenya is extending its night curfew to March 12th as part of measures aimed at taming the spread of COVID-19. President Uhuru Kenyatta's office said on Sunday. In early November, Kenyatta extended the night curfew that was in place and it had been due to expire on Sunday. It runs between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. A ban on political and roadside gatherings that could turn into super spreader events was also extended for another 60 days, as was a prohibition on overnight events and vigils. When the first COVID-19 case was confirmed in Kenya in March 2020, the government closed schools, imposed a curfew, banned public gatherings and at one point restricted movement in and out of the most affected regions. In more international news, in Niger, over 100 people were killed and 20 others were injured in gruesome attacks on 2 villages in western Niger. That is Western Niger. Prime Minister Brigi Rafini said that the day was one of the deadliest days in the recent memory for the country. Rafini also announced that over 70 people were killed in the village and 30 others in another village, that is Zorom Darai. However, no terrorist group has claimed responsibility for the attacks. Meanwhile, the attack came on the same day. Election officials announced results for the first round of Niger's presidential vote that put ruling party candidate and former government minister Mohamed Bazoum in the clear lead. In the United States, the 117th Congress convened on Sunday with swearing in of the newly elected and retiring senators. Newly elected senators included Tennessee Republican Bill Hagerty, Colorado Democrat John Hickenlooper, New Mexico Democrat Ben Ray Lujan, among others. The Senate will reconvene on Wednesday. Nancy Pelosi was narrowly re-elected as the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives amidst political uncertainty, with the Senate control undecided and a Republican fight looming over presidential election results. The House voted 216 to 209 to reinstate Pelosi after Democrats lost 11 seats in the November elections to command a narrower 222 to 212 majority. 5 Democrats chose not to support her, of which 2 voted for Democratic lawmakers who were not running, while 3 others simply voted present. After being re-elected, Pelosi said in a floor speech that the most urgent priority will continue to be defeating the COVID-19 pandemic. And back home, the 51st International Film Festival of India will open on 16 January with the Indian premiere of the movie Another Round by Thomas Winterberg. The movie starring Cannes Best Actor Award winner Mads Mikkelsen is among the star-studded lineup of the movies being showcased at IFFI. The movie is also Denmark's official entry to the Oscars. The festival will also witness world premiere of Merunissa. This is the film by Sandeep Kumar and will premiere mid-fest. Also starring formidable actor Farooq Jafar, the movie narrates the story of a woman's lifelong dream. The festival will close on 24th of January with India premiere of the historical drama Wife of a Spy by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. The Japanese film bagged Silver Lion for Best Director at the Venice International Film Festival. 51st IFFI is being organized from 16th till 24th of January in Goa, and this edition is being organized in a hybrid mode for the first time and will comprise of both online and in-person experience. The festival will be loaded with a lineup of famous movies with a total of 224 films from across the globe being screened. Now, this includes 21 non-feature films and 26 feature films under the Indian Panorama Films section. Registrations for the virtual summit segment of the first hybrid IFFI is now open. 51st edition of IFFI is being organized in hybrid format and will comprise both the virtual and physical segments. With that, we end this bulletin here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.